Sometimes, as a talent, as a talk show host, performer, disc jockey, whatever it is, your career, so much of your career is based on making people happy, giving people something that they enjoy or that they learn from or that it inspires them or scares them, whatever you get from it. There's always somebody out there to supply that style. But there comes a time in your career where something happens and you reflect back and you realize how exactly momentous that was at the time. You may not have appreciated it when it was actually happening, but you look back later on and you reminisce. I got to reminisce just recently in the most amazing way, in a way that I've actually, all these days later, still kind of on a high from. Before I ever even decided I wanted to be in radio, and I've done a lot of television, but it's always been back to radio. Radio's always been my base. There's something about it. There's that connection between you and the listener. There's that one-on-one communication that you rarely find in television, that you don't get from print, and the immediacy of it. I can have headphones on, microphone on. I can be on the air telling you about something that's happening right now. And television can't do that. Nothing else can do that. So it's the immediacy of it, and it's the intimacy of it. That's what I always loved the most about radio. And when I was just a little kid, my grandmother used to buy tapes of old radio shows and would run them. Well, she grew up listening to those. And she's reliving those memories in that time by listening to them again. Believe me, they were every bit as entertaining to me. I may not have understood all of it, but I just thought it was fascinating. The sound effects, the acting, what you could do and what you could create with your voice, just your voice alone, the intimacy of it. It was all so bigger than life to me than any other medium. Bigger than life. Because just by the sheer use of your voice, intonation, pausing, you can pop into somebody's mind the absolute picture that you're trying to paint. But it will never be the same for everyone. And that's one thing that's so funny through my whole career. I've always said when people meet me, oh, you don't look how I thought you would. No, I guess I never do. I love radio so much. And I hate to see it dying. It's all but dead, frankly. There are 40-year-olds and under who don't even know what AM and FM means. 30-somethings never even grew up with the radio. It's not been a part of their life like it was mine. So when I was talking with my producer, Kirk Tashawn, greatest in the world, Captain Kirk, I'm asking him, I got to go to this radio station reunion featuring the live remote RV that they put together and created into a rolling mobile studio. And then their morning guy, Dr. Don Rose, nicknamed it the Sturgeon, and it stuck. And he called it the Sturgeon because it really looks like a great big giant fish. It was a GMC, I don't know what model, but it was just this late 70s. It was groundbreaking. Nobody had done anything like this. An actual broadcast mast. They were broadcasting while they were driving down the road. You don't understand the significance of it now because we have satellite. Well, that's easy. Not then, it wasn't. It was groundbreaking. That radio station that I'm about to tell you about and introduce you to, if you don't know anything about it, was award-winning. Where you had the huge radio markets like Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, even Dallas, Miami, big, giant, what they call major markets, top 10. Well, the fourth largest market in the nation didn't really have that kind of radio station or media presence that people all across the nation were talking about it until this one. And the fourth largest market in the nation is San Francisco. The radio station had the call letters KFRC. The frequency that it broadcast on that was assigned to it by the Federal Communications Commission was 610. Amplitude modulation, AM. When music was played on AM, not FM. FM was still pretty new. It had been around for a while, but AM so dominated. The quality wasn't as good, but the reach of it was always farther and better and stronger than FM. And to me, a kid growing up down in the Bakersfield area, Taft, Fellows, Desert, a lot of nothing. It was color. It was awesome. Now, I grew up listening to radio stations out of Bakersfield in Los Angeles. It wasn't until later on in life, moving up further north, when my parents divorced and my mom moved up to Northern California, that I found KFRC. Started listening about when I had to be 15, 14, KFRC. There were other great radio stations. The Sacramento area, Bay Area, KROY was legendary. Croy. K-Joy in Stockton, KJOY. That was a huge station. Top 40. Playing top 40. They kept calling it rock and roll, but no. If it was a hit, it was a hit. I remember first time I heard New York, New York by Frank Sinatra on a top 40 station, because there was a time that if it was a hit and you wanted to hear it and it was getting great radio sales or music sales, record store sales, we played it. And it was called Top 40. The top 40 most popular songs in the nation got played on Top 40 radio. You had your new songs just coming in to the top 40, getting airplay and picking up steam, and the radio stations shared that information. Hey, this is hot for us, especially the bigger corporations like RKO, who owned KFRC and KHJ in Los Angeles and other big stations like that. It was an exciting time, explosive time. Everybody was making a lot of money. There was a time that radio was a powerhouse money-wise. Now it's absolutely barely hanging on because there's too many choices. You get everything you want. You don't have to wait for me as a radio DJ to play you your favorite song. You don't have to wait for me to tell you what the weather's like. You don't have to wait for me to tell you what's happening this weekend, what fun things are there to do, what concerts coming to town. You don't have to wait for me to tell you that. It's all right there on your phone. So people don't rely on radio like they used to. It's not an integral part of their life anymore. So when I had this opportunity to go to this radio station reunion with those who could make it and are still alive, because many of these dudes, they're starting to get into their 70s, 80s even. And radio DJs, for the most part, do not have a good track record of living healthy lives. We smoke, we drink, we carouse, we party. That was all BC for me, before Christianity, where I just cut out the carousing. Especially if you're a morning show, which most of my career has been morning drive, because the funny guys, they always get put in the mornings, which is fine because that's where I wanted to be, because that's where all the money is. They're the ones who make the most money, or the morning shows. They're the ones who put in the most work too. And you never get caught up on your sleep. You're getting up before everybody else. And it's not like some other job. I mean, I've had other people, oh, so big stinking deal. I start work at 6:00. Yeah, but you have to sound like you're happy to be there. Or do you spend your first 15 minutes in the coffee break room grousing and complaining? You don't have to hit the ground running. Full tilt. full energy, and happy to be there. But the effect it has on your body is you never really get full sleep. You never really get full rest. And you spend so much of your life just being tired all the time. And you go to bed when everyone else is just starting to ramp up the party. That's the sacrifice you make. But it gets in your blood. It has its own language. Disc jockeys, you could stand there and listen to them, a couple of them going back and forth. You would probably pick up about every third or fourth word they say. We have our own language. Abbreviations, acronyms. To me, it's fascinating, but there aren't that many of us. I mean, even a radio station that, let's take one that everybody knows in the Sacramento area where I started my career, KZAP, KZAP. That was a rock station competing against all the others, and they were just monstrous. How many people were there running that radio station on air, at least on the on-air side? I'm not talking about engineers, sales, programming, none of that. I'm talking about just the DJs. 5? Maybe 5. So there aren't that many of us that find it as fascinating as we do. And I've taken that chance by doing this show and dedicating this show to these extraordinary people that I got to meet who had such an integral part in my life and my development. And the radio station was KFRC. And that is what the show is about today on Do Not Talk. Hit it.
Yep, here he comes. Riding his trusted steed through the Sierra foothills as he brings you the news.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
He calls himself
CharLee.
What you doing, Charlie?
Sorry, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. There you are. Look how cute you are. Yeah.
Hey, Charlie. What's with the dark glasses?
And now, here he is, a man of God, living in a world of Disney.
Ow, Charlie.
Charlie Simons.
Charlie bit me.
I am live from Auto Museum in Modesto, California, where the KFRC reunion is going on. Anyone who didn't grow up in Northern California, and if you're under the age of 30 or 40, you probably don't even know the call letters KFRC. More than that, you probably don't even know what a call letter is. KFRC, call letters used to be signed by the FCC to different frequencies, and every top of the hour you had to give the frequency and the call sign, which in San Francisco, it was KFRC. Obviously, that's a backdrop there, but it looked pretty cool there for a while, didn't it? As I'm strolling along, hey, everybody, look at this. Hey, my car collection. Me and Jay Leno. Yeah, that's right. That's some of our favorites right here. Yeah, in fact, as a matter of fact, this car right around here, and there it's gone. Oh, well. Let me show you something and describe why it's so meaningful to me. Okay, first of all, any radio station that actually pays the money to get customized plates, that's pretty dang cool. That's Dave Garrity, by the way, right there from Boss Radio. He's running the board. The broadcast going on in the studio portion right here. That is Mike Novack right there. Mike Novack, one of the legendary broadcasters. They're on the air live right now with Bud Kress. That's Bud Kress, who I worked with in Sacramento at the old K-Pop 93.5. And here's some woman. I don't know who she is, but she's sporting that KFRC shirt really well. Okay, I got to get off that. That's not right. This is the mobile studio, the Sturgeon. Here's why it was called the Sturgeon by Dr. Don Rose. When he was on the air and when this first hit the airwaves, this was their mobile studio. It looks like a dad-blamed sturgeon. Yes, the big giant prehistoric fish out of the Delta. Look at that right there. That's Shotgun Tom Kelly. Come on, radio geeks. You know it's Shotgun Tom. I already went on the air with him once, but I hope to get to interview him. Hey, while I got you two guys here, don't go away. Don't go away. These are the gentlemen who have kept this beautiful mobile sturgeon alive. This is my friend, Wild Bill Shakespeare.
Charlie, my brother. Nice to see you, man. I saw you in there. We almost had to replace the mic for your excitement, man. It almost exploded.
I melted it.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. But it's this is why I brought it back. This is why it was saved. Not because of me or parking in the driveway, because I was envisioning someday having everybody regroup here and do this. So this is like surreal to me.
It's happened.
Absolutely.
Introduce me to your friend.
Yeah, this is Chris. Chris.
How we do? Bill?
Carrington,
Bill
Sharpie.
talks. He makes me cry.
No,
He's like, it's so
man.
emotional.
It was Chris. He was also a KFRCer from back in the day, before my time even, early 80s. And so I knew Chris was the right guy to take the torch after when we started the project to keep running with it. And that's what he's doing.
Here we are. Here we are.
This is like showroom new. You guys have done such an amazing job with this. It's not easy keeping RVs looking any kind of decent shape. You've not only done that, but it looks like showroom new. You guys have done an amazing
For
job.
your fans out there, you want to see pictures, you want to see Bill, the early days when this thing was a piece of junk when he drove it home. We got 2 different Facebook pages. Fans of the KFRC mobile studio, The Sturgeon, and then we also have 610 Sturgeon. So you can go in there and see all kinds of pictures. You can see the sweat and tears that what Bill did to get this, what it looks like today. It did not look like this the day Bill drove this home.
So, Bill, let me talk to you real
Yeah,
quick.
buddy.
You and I have got history. We've been in the business together. We both worked at Quad 106 in
Yeah,
Sacramento.
yeah. Yeah, back in the day, 1989, 90, Hot 97.7 in San Jose.
Why in the world does KFRC still hold such power with so many of us?
Well, I think it's not just music; it's the fabric. I mean, how much has changed today? We're living on iPhones and the internet, but then radio was part of our lives. It was high school. It was, hey, I'm going to the prom, and my favorite jock's on the air, and it's the night guy, and my favorite song, and the promotion. I just won tickets to the Stones, and I mean, that just was intertwined, interweaved into our souls.
And if you ever had a DJ say your name on the air and then play a song you requested, you serious?
I mean, the greatest thing ever. Mom, Dad, check it out. I'm on the radio.
That was awesome.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, people cry. Chris and I talk about when we're up at Hot August Nights. A gal comes up to us, starts waving her hand in front of her face, and tears start rolling out of it. Oh my gosh, KFRC! I can't believe it. She's all fired up. I mean, you can see how emotional and passionate
We almost
she was.
called an ambulance because
Yeah.
we weren't sure of her condition.
Yeah.
We thought that she was having a medical situation, and she just said, "No, it's KFRC."
Yeah.
We're like, "Okay, you're okay, right?" It was quite
This is part of our lives. This shaped who we are now.
Absolutely. I mean, that's
Our
why
radio
we're on
station
radio.
have that kind of power.
We had a
And
general-
locally too, there were so many. I mean, you and I have experienced that with
Absolutely.
listeners who you hear from them, or you see them, or you meet them years later. And go, oh man, you affected my life. You changed my life. You helped me through this time. You did this. You did that. That's the greatest compliment anyone could ever give me.
Absolutely. I think of a girl back in 1991. She called me distraught, and she was going to commit suicide. And I told her for the next week and a half, I want you to call me every single night. Just call me and talk to me. And she did that. She called me for the next 7 days. By the end of the 7th day, she was okay. She's better. And she called me at another radio station, surprising enough, and said, hey, man, I'm that girl that was really down and out, and you really turned me
brought me
around.
through it.
So that always meant a lot to me. Just
Heck
because of,
yeah, I'm
you know,
gonna know it. That's
well,
powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you guys set up this whole museum setup here too, by the way?
This whole museum set up, all the stuff on the table is my personal KFRC box from growing up. The t-shirts hanging on the wall is my collection. Every time I won a t-shirt on the radio, that's hanging over there.
You still got them all.
Got them
Kind
all.
of sick. He won everything there was to win. I think that prize vault is cleared out, man.
Sometimes
What,
beat me.
what did we call guys like that, by the way, Bill?
We called them what phone junkies or
Prize pigs.
Pigs, yeah. Oh, it's Chris. Hang up.
Another prize.
Chris,
you just won last hour. We got to give it to somebody else.
My name actually ended up on the list whenever there was a special on air, call in, get your voice on the air. My name always ended up on the list. Do not let Chris Sharp back on the air. The 20th anniversary in 1986, Sholin had my name on the list Friday night.
Oh, that's not right.
1981, the Oakland Raiders, you called in and did a shout out to the Oakland Raiders. My name was on the list right away. Don't let Chris Sharp on.
So you qualify then. Hey, we need caller 16. Hi, who's this? This is Chris. You're caller 15.
Exactly.
I'm afraid that is true what Bill just said. When you get people who just the same ones win it over and over. Oh, shoot, you just missed it by one.
Try again. Call me back. We'll do it again in 2 hours.
If you're ever at one of our Sturgeon remotes, the banner behind us, if you want to scan across that, that's the history of KFRC and the history of the Sturgeon of every stop it made from KFRC to KHJ, back to KFRC, Magic 61, KFRC FM 99.
Don't forget the game show. Don't forget the game show.
Oh, you make me
The
sick.
Sturgeon didn't do the game show. The Sturgeon had nothing to do with the game zone. Sadly, it was in Los Angeles at the time.
I'm going to take everybody on a tour of that right now. Thank you, gentlemen. Honor and a privilege.
He's got actual in-studio photos. I know that guy right there. That's Rick Shaw. KFRC lineup. On-air team. This is when radio stations knew how to do knew how to promote themselves. That's in front of their studios at Bush Street, and that's where I actually got to sit in and watch this man do his show live one morning, Dr. Don Rose. Years later, I got to work with him when I was doing mornings at Hot 97.7 in the San Francisco Bay Area, and he was promoting a new golf tournament he was starting. And I had him on the air with me every day, and I absolutely cherished every second of it. One of the truly nicest, most genuine gentlemen I've ever known in the business. There he is. Marvelous Mark McKay, Broadway, Bill Lee, Harry Nelson, KFRC. One of my absolute heroes in the business, too. Don St. John, who I've had the pleasure of working with and meeting. Dave Sholin, also an extraordinary gentleman. Bobby Ocean, who I'm going to be getting to interview later on. Here's another one of my favorites of all time, Jack Armstrong and his gorilla he always had on the air with him. But people didn't know he was doing both voices. He would talk back and forth to himself. Sue Hall, who is still every bit as beautiful. She's just amazing. She's still living in the Bay Area. And Candy Chamberlain, Shannon, Rockin' Rennell. Rennell I knew from KMEL, 106 KMEL. There's Mike Novack, who is actually on the air right now, and I'm going to get to interview him later on, too. Bob Anthony. There's Dr. Don Rose. Their team. Jane Dornacker, who was such an amazing and different and original broadcaster. Her big thing was traffic in San Francisco, and she got a big job, moved to New York, and literally died on the air broadcasting from a helicopter that went down while she was on the air. It is real freaky to hear, but you can find that audio on YouTube. Sandy Louie, Shayna, Beverly Fox, Sally Adams, Rick Shaw, there he is. There he is again. Terry Nelson, another one of my favorites. I used to listen to him on KFI in Los Angeles. And when I was just starting out in radio, I was working at an AM station in Stockton called KJOY, KJOY. And the program director calls me and goes, hey, there's a guy coming in this weekend, and I want you to train him on the board because he's going to go on the air with us full time. I said, okay. Who is he? Terry Nelson. And I got like, I was starstruck. J.B. Barra and Brian Rhea. Brian Ray, actually, I don't know how much I want to talk. He's married a friend of mine, a great friend of mine, and I've gotten to know him, and what a thrill it is to get to know him. Scott Simon, Mucho Morales, Dean Goss, Howard Hoffman, who I knew from 106 KMEL, JD, Christopher Lance, another friend of mine who I got to work with at Hot 97.7, Paula Kelly, Sylvia Cha-Cha Chacon, who I remember listening to her on KYA, KSFO, Beth Bacall, who is married to Broadway Bill Lee. And I worked with her at Hot 97.7 as well. Ron Parker and Cammie Blackstone. Wow, Cammie and I, we've done a lot of stuff when I was first starting out in radio in the Bay Area. Jay Stone right there, Eggs Benedict, Bo Weaver, Willie Sancho, rather. Father Harry. Anyone remember Father Harry in the God Squad? There's the Chucker, Chuck Geiger, Chuck Browning, the other Chucker. Chuck Martin, also the Chucker. All call themselves the Chucker, except for Chuck Buell. I don't think he was a Chucker. Rob Conrad, Robin Bailey, Big Tom Parker, and John Mac Flanagan. KFRC. It's all the different places the Sturgeon's been featured. There's Shotgun Tom right there. Legendary radio station. Award-winning radio station. And they had one down in LA too. Same company that owned 93 KHJ, Los Angeles. What an awesome thing they've done here. Those guys have really done a good job with this. So it's a little old radio reunion featuring the broadcast mobile studio called the Sturgeon. Now, it might not mean anything to you. It might be a whole lot of nothing. You might not even continue watching. You may have even already tuned out. But here's the deal. Once in a great while, you have to do a show that's just for you. That's what I'm doing today while I'm here, while I have the opportunity to be here at the radio reunion of the station that shaped my career, my life, my future, 610 KFRC. I'm Charlie Simons. This is Do Not Talk. Let's meet some of the lineup of talent from that legendary radio station.
Those gentlemen that I talked to there, Chris and Bill, rescued that RV. I'd love to see before and after pictures. What did it look like when they first found it compared to how it looks now? Because it looks fantastic. It looks like it was new. Impressive gentlemen there. And all didn't make any money off this. Nothing. They're spending money to do this just for the love of it. And to share that love of a radio station and the heritage call letters that shaped a generation in San Francisco and Northern California. I know it was a San Francisco radio station, but and they were only 5,000 watts. That's the most amazing thing. What they did with those 5,000 watts was quite extraordinary because their coverage in Northern California was amazing. So they must have had their tower up on a mountain or something. I don't know how they got around so well with only 5,000 watts. Most of them are like 50,000. Then you got some power, and then you got some, they did it all with 5,000 watts. What it was to the radio station and to those of us who love it was a place for some of the greatest disc jockeys, air personalities, radio talent of all time. They brought them in. They spent the money. And one of the absolute greats, first time I heard him was at KCBQ in San Diego. He was on KHJ Los Angeles, and he was on KFRC San Francisco. And you're thinking, wow, they sure jump around a lot. You know what? A lot of that is because we want to. In radio, we want to experience different markets. We love that thrill of getting to know an audience and building an audience. And it's almost like you build a successful business and then you sell it and you start another one somewhere else. That's kind of how it is for a lot of people in radio. what happened to that guy? I really liked him. I don't know. He's gone. And before social media, if you got fired or you left a radio station and you never got to have a goodbye show, people didn't know. They didn't know where you went. They didn't know what you did. And you call the radio station. They go, oh yeah, they left. Even if you got fired. No, they're no longer with the station. Well, where'd they go? No, I don't know. Well, now with social media, they can't get away with that. And that makes it even more fun for us as radio talent. The guy I'm going to introduce you to right now, if you don't know who he is and you've never heard him before on the air, K-Earth 101 in Los Angeles. He was there a long time. Such an original talent, such an original sound. And he always wore this goofy hat. I've never seen him without that hat. He would wear it while he was on the air. He would wear it at appearances. He got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Of course, he was wearing the hat. And it was like this Canadian Mountie hat, or as the Marine Corps call it, that's a drill instructor hat, that thing right there. As you see right now, as I introduce to you, the legendary, as I sat in the mobile studio with him on Friday, June 10th, Shotgun Tom Kelly.
We're playing Sly and the Family Stone, and it's a family affair. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell a little story about this song, man.
Shotgun Tom, I know you from...
Say what?
I know you from all the grand radio stations in California, but now you're on XM?
XM, you're at channel 73, yep.
73.
Yeah, Monday through Friday.
Okay.
From 4 to 9 Pacific,
okay.
7 to midnight Eastern.
Okay. That's where you can catch Shotgun Tom Kelly. Broadcasting from the mobile Sturgeon, which was KFRC's groundbreaking at the time. Nobody had done anything like this. Mobile studio that could be broadcasting actually while they were driving. That was a huge deal back in the late 70s, early 80s. Oh, it was huge. So here we are back in the mobile Sturgeon, thanks to the folks who have kept this alive. And this is Shotgun Tom Kelly back again in the Sturgeon, like it was in the early days when he was first starting out his career. It's a huge deal for anybody in the radio television business. Here we go. Stand by. It's going on the air now.
Yes, baby. It's a family affair. It's Sly and the Family Stone, man. I got to tell you, I got a little story about that song. You see, I worked at a lot of radio stations. One radio station in San Diego, KCBQ. I did that before KFRC. And we had a program director. His name was Buzz Bennett. And he said, I got this new song by Sly and the Family Stone. And I really want to play this song. And I want to add it to the playlist. And I got to tell you guys, he told all of his jocks, that I think this song represents what we are, a family. And it was, it's a family affair. And you know, Buzz Bennett was very hip. He sounded like this, man. Oh man, as a matter of fact, let me tell you a little story. I was actually sitting on the couch when the Mercury promo guy came in with the brand new Rod Stewart song, Reason to Believe. And he really wanted that song to be a hit. So he brought it into Buzz Bennett, and he says, oh man, I got a song here that Rod Stewart really loves, and it's going to be a big hit. Oh, Buzz says, oh, well, fire out, man, let's hear it. So he puts it on, and it's Reason to Believe. Very beautiful song. But Buzz goes, oh yeah, that's a beautiful song, man, but I'm going to turn it over and listen to the B-side. So he flipped it over to listen to the B-side, and he played the B-side, and he goes, you know what, man? I like the B-side better than the A-side. Do you know what the B-side was? Are you ready for this? Count the number of times KCBQ plays Maggie May and win $10,000. See, Buzz had an ear.
That's history.
Yeah, that's absolutely a true story. Hey, we are in the KFRC Sturgeon, man. And I remember being at Union Square doing a show right here in this facility. Not at this desk. This is Dr. Don's desk, but I was behind the audio console, and me and Dave Sholin and Sue Hall, we were having a ball. And by the way, if you want to see that video, go to YouTube and go to KFRC Shotgun Tom, and you'll see all of us there. But right now, we're going to continue the music right here at the Modesto Radio Museum, baby. We're getting involved now. Oh, yes. Can you get the feeling? I think I got it right now. You better believe it, baby.
That's how it's done, son.
Hey, was that all right?
That's how it's done.
You got me. Oh, you better believe it, baby. Oh, man, I can't believe I'm in the KFRC Sturgeon. I used to do a show when I was at KFRC in this particular facility from Union Square. You can see it on YouTube, baby. I stepped on the vocal. All right, baby, this is me, Shotgun Tom, right here from the American Graffiti USA Classic Museum in Modesto, man. I've been talking about this on my radio show, Sirius XM on Channel 73. Ooh la wee. Here we are, you and me, baby.
Let me tell you about Shotgun Tom KRLee and my memories of him.
So how am I doing, man?
I first knew him in KCBQ in San Diego.
That's right.
That was so long. That was
you better believe it. You better believe it, baby. I think I hurt myself on that one.
You hurt yourself doing that one. Okay, hold on, I'm ready.
Right.
Countdown, 3.
You ready? You ready?
2, 1.
You better believe it, baby. Yeah, that's much better, man.
Shotgun Tom KRLee.
Yes.
I've got it.
KCBQ.
KCBQ. Remember, you queue in your car, or queue in your bus, or queue at home. Yeah.
K-Earth in Los Angeles for many, many years. I got to listen to you there.
I'm sorry, what was that?
K-Earth.
K-Earth was my biggest gig.
Yeah.
I succeeded the real Don Steele.
Yes, you did.
At K-Earth 101. Because let me tell you something, you never want to say I replaced the real Don Steele.
No, you can't.
Because nobody can replace the real Don Steele.
Well,
I was fortunate for 20 years to be able to sit in his chair.
Like him, you are an original. Nobody sounded like you before you or after you.
Well,
you are it.
They've tried to. As a matter of fact, let me tell you something. Some guy in Cleveland used my name, Shotgun Tom KRLee.
Did he really?
And they come up to me and they go, hey, I used to listen to you in Cleveland. You didn't used to listen to me. You used to listen to a guy using my name. Another guy, same guy, worked in Kansas City at KBEQ. He was Shotgun Tom KRLee.
Of course.
And of course, those were the days I didn't care. I thought somebody else using my name was flattery.
Yeah.
So who cares?
Hey, as long as he sounded good, he's representing, right?
Hey, good, man.
Okay, good.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
My God,
That's the
John,
man right
yes.
there.
How are
That's
you,
the
man?
man.
Tom, how are you?
Telling you, man. Original. Totally original. I didn't get an interview with Shotgun Tom KRLee. I had so many questions to ask him. Just about the hat alone. Where'd you get that idea? What made you start wearing that hat all the time? Did you wear that when you were a kid? How many of you had? How many of you gone through? Fascinating, dude. Super talented. But we're just getting started with this super talented lineup of the people who got to say those legendary call letters, KFRC. One was Brain Rhea, who I've now become friends with. I've become friends with a lot of them. Dave Sholin was another one, but he didn't get to be there, unfortunately, because he's a great dude too. A lot of them have passed on. Jack Armstrong is dead. Dr. Don Rose is gone. A lot of them have passed on because, like I said, DJs did not exactly live healthy lives for the most part. We just don't. We're not rock and roll stars, but we're playing those who are. So we hang in those circles a lot of times. Unless you get saved, you give your life to Christ Jesus. You live victoriously in him. Like Mike Novack, who's also one of my absolute heroes, who I'm going to get to talk to, and I'm going to show a little video of him on the air, live from the KFRC Mobile Sturgeon. He's coming up. But right now, let's get to where I actually got to go inside and got invited to do a break. And for the first time in my life, after all these years of being in radio and television, I got to say those legendary call letters for the very first time. Here's what happened when I was in the studio with Brain Rhea.
It is 610 KFRC Day as proclaimed officially on this 10th day of June, year of 2020. 610 KFRC Day.
We're going to do another bit.
In Modesto.
And then we're going to go to Fame.
At a museum, car museum. Classic car museum.
Just go ahead and full stop on the music, and then I'll cue you for Fame.
Where it's actually, oddly enough, the address is 610 North 9th Street in Modesto.
Yeah, that was hard.
That's the board right back there. That is John Van Camp.
Yeah, it's like
right there.
You knew Don Burton.
That's him right there.
Right?
He is integral to Top 40 Radio for so many years, all these years I've been around. Hello, how are you?
It was 977 El Camino.
And they are about to go live.
Like I thought.
Not yet. They're about to go live.
I'm just going to put Dr. Don back over here.
Do you need
for
me?
Pictures.
Okay, here we go, buddy.
You are George. You are George, aren't you?
I thought it was coming.
What's your name?
Chris.
Chris. Oh,
I own this thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's Chris Schaefer.
Sharp.
That's right. Hello. Right on.
What stations were you on? You were on the Fish, weren't you? Or?
The Fish is Sacramento, K-Pop 93.5, Quad 106.
Oh, yeah.
8. In San Francisco. There we go.
610 KFRC. Did you check the calendar today? Because it's Friday. It's 610 day. How appropriate that we are at 610 North 9th in Modesto at this classic car museum in Modesto, California. You run into the craziest people. Bunch of disc jockeys from time and space have arrived. One of the best in the business of all time, Mr. Bob Malick is here.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. It's really a momentous thing for me.
It is so great. And you know, I think of Chris Sharpie and I think of Bill Shakespeare. They're the two curators. They have done a great job just taking custody of this mobile studio that was kind of abandoned in Santa Cruz, California. Got the capital, bought it, refurbished it, and are keeping it going.
Well, they keep the dream alive.
They do.
It's wonderful. You know, people I don't think understand that those of us that are on the air are here because we love it.
Yeah.
We certainly didn't come for the money, you know. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this wonderful picture of Dr. Don Rose.
Was I paying you today?
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Were you supposed to get paid today?
That check will be good, Chris. I understand that. You know, may I share a Dr. Don Rose story? I was the announcer for indoor soccer in the San Jose
Yes,
Earthquakes.
Earthquakes, yeah.
They played at the Cow Palace. Dr. Don Rose made a personal appearance, threw out the ball, kicked the first ball, whatever it was. And so I introduced him, so on and so forth. And at that particular time, you know, I was starstruck. And I said, thank you for coming, Don. I really appreciate it. 7 months later, I'm doing another gig and Dr. Don Rose walks in. I've only met him once. He comes up to me and says, hey Bob, how are you doing?
Wow.
Remembered my name from all, you know, that's the kind of guy he was. He was the nicest guy in radio.
That's right.
And when you talk about what he did on the air, remember, he used to open his Christmas presents on the air from his home live and kept an audience.
Yes.
So, you know, to be here in his studio is a treasure.
And not only that, Bob, you're actually sitting in the seat that Dr. Don would do his show. This is called the turret, where these microphones are. And we're running split today. We have an engineer at the back of the coach. So we're sitting where DDR would do his show.
Yeah, well, it's really quite something. And the other tie that I had to KFRC is Dave Sholem.
Duke,
and, Duke,
absolutely,
Dave
absolutely.
Dave was the last guy to be with John Lennon, exclusive of Yoko, and really a good friend. We worked at KLIV in San Jose together, and then he went on to be somebody, and I went on to fill in your name here. But this is the mistress of my life, man.
You did great, Bob. And I know you're on Boss Boss Radio, as we are, bossbossradio.com. Your show is what time?
9 to noon, Monday through Friday.
9 to noon, Monday through Friday, and we are today live on that70schannel.com. In fact, there's a song coming up. I feel it right now in my bones. If Mr. Engineer would fire that button, yes! because we are going to hear, oh yeah, you talk about fame. This baby is famous. This is a mobile studio. They could roll this down the freeway and broadcast live playing the hits.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's pretty incredible.
It's a living.
Good. Oh my goodness. Woo.
That was cool, man.
It's radio history right now. Radio history.
I mean, come on.
So glad to be here. I'm just absolutely thrilled to be here.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Dr. Donald E. Rosie Day. There he is. I remember the very first time that this went on the air. The Sturgeon.
Really?
I was listening. Had to. And it was thrilling. You're right. They were going down the freeway and making such a big deal.
That's right.
I believe they were going over either the Bay Bridge or Golden Gate. I don't remember which at one point.
They said the Bay.
Was it the Bay Bridge?
Over there
Yeah.
the Bay.
I'll never forget that. And it's just KFRC was such an integral part of my life growing up. Made me want to get into radio, and that's what I've done all my life now.
Do you want to do one? You want to do one?
Are you serious?
All right.
Absolutely, I would love to.
Let me get up. Right. Who's on my back?
Oh my goodness, I sure will. See you on the radio.
On your blow torch, they've called it. Brain Rhea back on the radio again. I can't believe it's been just an avalanche of stars, folks from all stations, local and everywhere. And Charlie Simmons just popped by to say hello.
Simons.
Can you tell us a little bit about your time you first saw the KFRC mobile studio? What was your reaction?
The mobile sturgeon, as Dr. Don Rose so labeled it, the sturgeon, because it looks like a sturgeon. It looks like the big fish, prehistoric fish, and that's this mobile studio. And I was listening when it first went on the air. I was actually heard the first broadcast as they were going over the Bay Bridge live. It was such a huge deal. Nobody had ever done anything like that.
So it's a complete out-of-body experience. I mean, you've been on the air a long time. You worked a lot. Tell us the stations you were with in Sacramento.
Sacramento, I started at K-Pop 93.5, and then Quad 106, and then went on over to San Francisco, where I did mornings on K-Hit 98.9, KSFO, and Hot 97.7.
Oh my gosh, all the hits, all those great stations. And I know we have a mutual friend, the great Dave Sholin. I worked alongside Dave at KFRC.
Love the Duke.
You love the Duke.
Absolutely.
And I want you to say these call letters. Let's get you over a record that I know you could talk up right now. In fact, we're going to roll it right now.
It is a sweltering 105 degrees in Central California, Modesto, where it is now officially 610 KFRC Day, as proclaimed by the mayor. Bring it! I want to thank everybody who's listening to this fine radio station and reliving these memories right now on Boss Radio. Here we go. Let's get some smoke on the water. It's not any kind of purple. It's not light. It's not a chartreuse. It's not even a lavender. It's a deep purple. Dang it. I ran out of time. I hadn't talked over that in so long. Dude, I didn't get to say 16 KFRC.
That's okay.
Shoot, I blew it.
No, you nailed it, man.
That was fun.
That was
oh my goodness. Well, thank you for the opportunity, Brian.
You're welcome, boss.
That was
Are you
amazing.
rolling on this?
I am rolling.
Are you live or something?
I am live.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. This was wonderful. This is oh, look at that. I didn't even notice that. The Sturgeon. There it is.
We're grateful, man. We are so grateful you sat by. Oh my God, come on.
I am so grateful that you put me on and let me. I'm sorry I didn't say the call letters, though. I kind of blew it. So here we go. Live from the Sturgeon. Look at me. I'm shaking. I'm serious. I'm shaking because I was so energized and nervous all at the same time.
You nailed it, buddy.
See you, buddy.
Shakes and nerves and tears. There's tears also. You're not
There are
the only one.
tears. You're right.
You are not the-
I got a great Mike Novack story. When he was, I'm in high school listening to this guy, Mike Novack. And years later, when I'm starting out my career, I was doing morning drive in Stockton at a radio station called KSTN. My very first break, I'm only 21 years old, and I'm doing morning drive in Stockton. And the guys who'd been in the business for a while hated me because who's this punk kid? Who's he think he is? And already doing mornings and all this guys. So I've had my whole career. I had a lot of firsts at a very young age, and it was always the old dudes like that who just hated me. They resented me because I didn't work my way up and blah blah blah. one of the guys who believed in me and gave me a break right out of the gate. I had been listening to from a young age. And he's now program director at KYUU in San Francisco, which was every bit as amazing a radio station as KFRC was, only on the FM side. And it was right when it was making that transition. People were stopped listening. They were stopping listening to AM, and they were going over to FM because of the better quality of the sound. It just was. His name is Mike Novack, and here's what happened when I got to introduce him, and he was live on the air in the mobile Sturgeon, and everybody screamed his name.
Come on, man.
Woo, welcome
home,
Mike Novack.
Born and raised and thrown out. No, I'm just kidding. I left of my own volition. It's the Fabulous Graffiti USA Classic Car Museum. That's what we're in.
Exactly.
The Sturgeon is actually inside the museum, 610 North 9th Street. I still want to know how they got that address. I still want to know how they did that. Come on by. We're going to be here till about 4:30. Then it'll go back to the Boss Radio and 70s channel.
That's right.
And they'll let us out of the cage here, which is kind of a nice thing to do. Our friends. The Sturgeon is full of our... Say hi, friends.
Hello.
Yep. We are, like I said, we are dangerously live. Reliving a lot of memories, and I hope you are too. The fact that if the call letters KFRC mean anything to you, you were a Northern California rock and roll person back in the day. Pardon me, it's a telemarketer calling me back. No, I said I didn't want
Your warranty is up. Your warranty is up.
Our warranty.
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it, really.
Sold that car in 1972.
Exactly, and I still haven't paid it off. And you know, the whole call letters, the meaning of that radio station meant so much to so.
Yes, Charlie Simonson, Do Not Talk, live for something that I didn't think was ever going to happen, but I'm so glad it did.
What happened?
KFRC has a reunion.
Yeah.
But it's not in San Francisco where it originated from.
No, they won't let us back in. No.
Especially now,
Small details. I don't know.
If San Francisco did let you back in, I would consider that not a badge of honor.
No, not anymore. You know, the best parts of the city, I think we were all there to enjoy them. So,
when I was in high school, I used to listen to this station called 13 Kino.
Yep.
In Fresno, after we'd moved there up from Bakersfield. And I'm listening on the school bus. They had a blasting to keep us all quiet. This guy named Mike Novack. Mike Novack did this thing every morning where he go, well, let's see what's in the paper today. And you literally just open up and start riffing on stuff that was in the news. This is Mike Novack right here.
It was pretty easy because sometimes it just, as you well know,
it writes itself.
It's almost like that line out of the movies. You can't make this stuff up.
Right.
You know, it's right there back in that time in black and white or gray and white. And you just had to point out the obvious.
Right.
And it was hilarious. And sometimes it was very sad. But it was right there. So all I was doing was telling the truth.
Mike Novack went, next thing I heard, I was going to college up in the Stockton area, and I'm listening to KFRC.
Yeah.
KFRC, I hadn't decided what I was going to do with my life yet, but I'm hearing these guys on the radio, on this radio station, thinking, these are the coolest people on the planet. You guys became my heroes right away, and there he was again. I couldn't forget that name, Mike Novack.
We were talking about that a minute ago. That's actually my real name, which doesn't happen a lot in this business. When I first started in radio, and I got into it as a joke, actually. I was a biochem major in college.
I was a marine biologist major. That's what I wanted to be.
I just like fishing, so... I went to a radio station. I was on the air at JC, and I got a job, and the guy said, oh, your name's too ethnic, Novack. So we're going to call you Mark Stevens. And,
wait a minute, ethnic?
Well, I don't know. This is a long time ago.
Okay.
So I'm walking down the hall for like 2 days, and people are going, Mark, and I walk right on by him. So then he says to me, look, just use your real name. Well, you know, you're not going to get this other phony name thing. So anyway, yeah, it's my real name. And I have been so blessed in my career. I got to do, like you said, KFRC. I not only got to work there, that was my third job in radio. I got to work.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that was my third real full-time job. I was a young kid on the staff back when you were talking about it.
Yeah, because that was Bam Bam then. You went from Drake Chanel to RKL Radio.
And they transferred
just
me up
like
to San
that.
Francisco.
Yeah. And the next thing I heard, I'm down to San Diego, and there's this radio station called KSON, Country.
#1 in San Diego, which was always kind of interesting because we never thought about it as a country station. We thought about it as having fun and making a great radio station that happened to play country music. #1.
And it worked.
It worked very well.
You did that a long time.
About 12 years.
I lost track of you after that. We talked on the phone more than once. He became kind of like my radio dad. If I had no idea what I wanted to do, I had a couple of jobs, maybe being considered for this or that, I got to call Mike and get his input on it. He took my phone call every time. He spent so much time with me. I don't even know if you remember those calls.
Oh,
but
I
it
do.
meant everything to me.
I do. No, I do.
Meant everything.
You know, I owe a lot of people who came alongside me and helped me come along and be blessed enough to have great jobs. And if I can do anything to help anybody, I don't mind it at all. Yeah, the station you're talking about was KLove. It was a contemporary Christian radio network based out of Sacramento. And I was there 21 years. And the last 11, I was the CEO, and I retired in December of 18.
They had explosive growth while you were running the thing. I mean, they went worldwide.
Yeah, when I started, there were 32 of us. And when I left, when I retired, there were about 600 full-time employees. Had 1,000 radio stations, and Nielsen kept telling us our weekly cume was about 15 million people.
Mike is a very, he doesn't blow on his own horn a lot, but I'll tell you what.
It was God, it wasn't me.
It was God, you're right.
No, it was.
Okay,
I'm
first
not
and foremost, yes,
Yeah.
all glory to God.
That's it.
But under your tutelage, and coming from
I
your
kept it on
background,
the tracks.
a top 40 radio, basically, you never lost that.
No. And you know what? I just mentioned that to a friend a minute ago. I think there were 3 or 4 of us in the programming department, and I think we all came from mainstream, and there was something that you get in that at that time wasn't very prevalent in Christian radio. So it gave us kind of an edge.
You know what I think it is?
What?
Forward momentum.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And
that was always the
two
secret I
favorite
learned very
words.
quickly. Forward momentum.
Why not? As long as it wasn't immoral, illegal, or fattening, we'd do it. And that's like he's become, like a son to me, Michael McDowell, NASCAR driver, number 34. We sponsored him for 5 years. And I remember the board said, why? And I said, don't you think Christians go to NASCAR races? And not one donor dollar was used for that. We had a third party who said, if you want to do it, we'll pay for it to get the sponsorship of this car.
It worked.
And because I could look any donor right now and say, I did not use your money for that. I don't have your permission to do that. You want to support Caleb, and that's what we're going to do. But it was a ride that was incredible. And I got to tell you one quick story about it.
Okay.
About 4 years into being on the air at K-Love and running it, being the program director, before I became the CEO, I was driving home one night and I argued with God. And I said, what did you do? What? This is nuts. What did you do?
What did you do?
I didn't see a burning bush. I didn't see signs. I didn't accept
no talking goats.
I got a sense of peace. And the peace was, everything that you got to do in mainstream radio, like places like this, it's school for what I'm going to ask you now. And I went, I wish I'd have paid better attention, And it was. Everything I ever learned in this business, I used in that facility.
Yeah.
I'd walk in there every day and I would just stand in the lobby sometimes and go, what am I doing here? I'm just a kid from Modesto, Seriously, I did. And the young lady that worked with me, she would come in and she would say, Mike, you're here because he wants you here. Just go do what you do. Okay, then I'd go do it.
I loved Air One, by the way. When you guys went on the air with Air One, that was straight up top 40 radio.
Yeah, that was another ministry out of Scappoose, Oregon. And we did a lot of things tangentially with them. And after a while, it just became like, let's just merge our boards and we'll run them as one.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. I love this.
This is Mike Novack. This is the man. This is one of my heroes in the broadcasting business, and an absolute thrill and honor to see you again. It's been a while, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.
You're living in Texas now.
I do. New Braunfels, Texas. I'm a law enforcement chaplain for the New Braunfels PD.
How cool is that?
So
I will make my way down to you. Save me some barbecue.
Plenty of places to get it.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you.
Okay. For Do Not Talk, I'm Charlie Simons. We'll continue from this. There it is right there, 610 KFRC. Loud and proud in the air chair. Do Not Talk.
Live from the mobile Sturgeon, 610 KFRC, broadcasting with Bobby Malick, the man.
Oh yeah, it doesn't get better than this, folks. We are having such a great time. This is 610 KFRC, and we are broadcasting live from Graffiti USA Classic Car Museum in Modesto. And some folks here, I just haven't seen them in many, many years. And for example, well, Shotgun Tom Kelly I've seen because we worked together for a long time. But there are folks here. Rex McNeil is here, ladies and gentlemen, and Derek Waring, very well known in Modesto. So we're having a wonderful time, and another fella who has been in radio for a long time, Charlie Simons, is with me. Charlie is based out of Sacramento now.
I am.
And worked in Fresno, and was it San Jose?
San Jose, San Francisco, Nashville, Tennessee. Yes,
So if you get a chance, make sure you come in and see some of these classic cars as well. We passed a few coming in town. My wife Sandy and I were driving. Saw a 57 Chevy, man. It was turquoise. Beautiful. And there are some fabulous cars that you've got to see over here. So it's 610 KFRC, broadcasting from the 610 Sturgeon. Come on out and see us.
One of the smoothest pros ever to grace a radio studio, Bobby Malick.
You're too kind.
I'm too real.
Thank you, man.
And I appreciate you more than you know. Thank you for all that you've taught me over the years, and I wish you nothing but for great success. What are you doing now, by the way?
Well, now I'm hanging out with my grandsons, Wyatt
Nice.
and Jackson and Jace and Vance.
Beautiful.
We literally live 3 houses down from them. My wife and I left Los Angeles about 3 or 4 months ago, and after 20 years in Southern California, I am so happy to be back in Modesto.
Absolutely. For Charlie Simons, Do Not Talk. We'll continue with this live event for anybody who's into radio and television, and 610 KFRC San Francisco. It's the best of the best.
This is Bobby Malick. Bobby is one of my favorites in the business all these years that I've been in it. He was in it before me, and he's been an inspiration. He's been an encouragement. He's been an example of how to be better and do better. First man who ever taught me about infotainment. You give information, but you better make it entertaining.
That's it.
Hello, sir.
You know, it's so great to be hanging out with my radio brothers. Charlie and I never worked together. We came very close, and we passed each other in different stations and different markets. But Charlie, it's so great to see you.
You too, sir. You too. Radio then, now, where's it going?
Well, it's hard to say where it's going. I have a very close friend of mine in Coos Bay, Oregon, who owns a radio station, a terrestrial radio station.
And Morgan, right? Mr. Morgan?
Roger W. Morgan.
Yes.
And he is doing very well with it.
Yeah.
And it's so great to see that. And another couple of my friends, Doug Wolf and Jim Bryan, have The River here in Modesto, a classic rock station, which is doing very well.
Good.
So it's really encouraging to see these radio stations that are terrestrial. They're not on the internet, although they do have websites, and you can go on and listen online at krvr.com, The River, and the Legend Radio in Coos Bay. So if you get a chance, go check it out. You'll love it.
Radio has kind of been its own worst enemy in many ways to try and cut costs. I think a lot of it was started happening with radio stations, with deregulation of ownership rules in the 90s with Bill Clinton, with corporations just started buying them up by the dozens.
Right.
And what they did was cut costs by getting rid of personalities. Personalities work hard to get where they are and to build a loyal fan base. And if a personality left the radio station and went across town, you felt it at the radio station where they were. They lost listeners.
That's a great point. That's absolutely true. And not too many people talk about that. But that is one of the main reasons why terrestrial radio has handed it over to the internet. is because of the way they treated some of the talent, unfortunately.
And it got to a point to where corporations didn't want personalities because you had to pay them more money. And we can be a little temperamental at times, can't we?
Oh, a little bit. Come on now.
I love it. Bobby Malick, where can we find you now? Are you doing anything on air?
Just the liners for The River and The Legend, the two stations I just told you about. I'm doing some broadcasting for them. So that's a lot of fun because it's like, you know what, I can do it any way I want to. I don't have a PD to tell me how to do it or whatever. So
Right.
That's really nice. And The Beatle Years was a show that I hosted for 17 years.
Yes.
And got a chance to interview Ringo Starr twice. Interviewed him the first time at Capitol Records, and the second time they called and wanted to know if I could talk to Ringo, and I said, of course, are you kidding? And so he turned 77 on July 7th, so it was 77 on 7/7. And he was a great guy, and since we had known each other from that first interview, it was so weird to have Ringo walk into a suite at the Beverly Hilton and say, "Hello, Bob." And I'm going, that's one of the 4 guys who cracked this planet, man. It was so cool to talk to him. Great guy.
Oh, and you're a great guy, man. I'm so glad I got to see you today. Thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure, Charlie.
Yes, sir.
My pleasure.
All right, there you go. We'll continue live during this radio reunion of 610 KFRC, San Francisco. Charlie Simon's here with Do Not Talk with a man who I learned how to talk best from just by listening to him. This is Bobby Ocean. Hello, my friend.
Hello, thank you for having me on this interview. And thanks for coming out here to this 610 Day event.
This has been such a thrill. I just only found out about it. I was down in Los Angeles and San Diego, and I was on my way back up when I found out about this, and I gotta be here for this. It is a reunion of all those from KFRC, which was such an integral part of so much of our lives growing up. If you're in your 40s and above, you knew KFRC. It was a legendary radio station owned by RKO for many, many years. It was actually General Tire, right?
And they're huge budget, yes.
Yeah, they're huge budget. They spent a lot of money to sound the best in the world, and it worked. And you went to KHJ Los Angeles.
Right after KFRC, and then I came back to KFRC.
Yes, you did.
I had to do the KHJ thing because they're the sister station, and that's where Morgan and Steele were, and I just had to stamp their airwaves.
Exactly. You got to work with the real Don Steele and Robert W. Morgan.
He was gone. They were gone by then.
Oh.
No, they're pretty tough chair to sit in, that mic, those guys.
Yeah.
But we did it. We pulled it off, and we made ourselves known. And for me, my career, I chose it when I was very young. And they were telling me you can't do that. And so I said, oh, I'm going to do it. Keep my entire career in California. When I was younger, 16 and stuff, I hitchhiked across the United States about 6 times. I thought I was Huckleberry Finn.
Apparently.
And so I got that traveling thing out of my system where I had to. And that's good because in radio, some people don't dare take vacations. Your job might be.
He's absolutely right. You're afraid to actually go on vacation. And who's filling in for me? Who is that? I don't even. Who is that? Why are they filling in for me? And next thing you know,
a good guy.
You couldn't get the worst dude to fill in for me.
Yeah. So the whole thing has been in California, as you mentioned. You noticed, having gone starting in Monterey. The fact is, there was a radio station I worked at before California. WDLP in Panama City, Florida. I walked up there. There was a girl involved. That's why I was in Panama City. And I told them that I worked at, and then I just made about 4 stations up, starting with K, and then put alphabet back there. I just made stuff up. And I said, here's my tape. And the guy took my tape and dropped it in the trash can. He said, read this. And he pulled up a stack of papers from the newspaper thing, the API thing.
Oh, yes, yeah, that's right. The
teletype machine. There it goes.
Teletype, right.
And so I did. I aced it. I got the job, but I was fired within a couple of weeks. And I said, well, could you tell me why so I could correct myself and not make these kind of mistakes? He said, no, it's not you. You're making $60 a week. We found a guy for 45. Oh, I get it. That's radio. Sure, pay me and I'll be back on the road hitchhiking again. Because I had a job in California. why at the end of the summer. And
Bobby Ocean here. Let me tell you a story about how you changed my sound and how I went from just that top 40 radio guy making a lot of noise to an actual personality. And it was including listeners. And I learned from you because when I was at K-Pop 93.5 in Sacramento, I decided to call you one day on the request line, which I will never forget, 478 KFRC. That was the request line. I called you. You answered.
Wow, that's rare.
I know, because normally you had people answering all the phone banks, and you had phone screeners and all that, taking requests, a lot of requests.
Must have been lonely.
You must have been lonely. And I had a nice conversation with you, telling you who I was and where I was and all this kind of stuff. Well, for the rest of your shift, I kept hearing bits and pieces of me, your conversation with me, but he would cut it up and use just portions, but it always somehow tied in with whatever song you were coming into next. And it was eye-opening. I went, that's how he does it. I never forgot that. Never.
Well, it helps to have great engineers, and at your fingertips you have all this machinery, and all you have to do is push the buttons. As far as using clips, I didn't edit them. I just closed the pot, and if I had to have 2 bits in a row, I'd use the 2 machines. But yeah, that was the thing. Is you don't do that. You don't do that on music intensive radio, but I did it anyway.
You did?
Because I could do it. I found out I could do it in an economy of words and time, without getting in the way of the more music feeling. I didn't stop and go for 5 minutes. It was part of my rap anyway. If I was going to talk for 8 seconds, then I put you in there. You were a scheduled 2.5 second part of it.
It was brilliant.
Oh.
He's still getting kisses from the ladies.
It's a perk.
What do you call home now?
Modesto.
You're here.
Yeah.
Okay, you were Bay Area for a long time.
Yeah, well, I had to be near the radio station.
After radio, after he was not doing a shift anymore, he got into voiceover work, and I hear you not only all over the country, but all over the world. Are you still doing that?
No, I retired. I don't do. I'll get people calling me. I don't hustle it. I don't have a clientele, and I just don't move forward. But when people want it, they want it so bad. I can't tell them no.
Right.
And I usually make them pay for it. I know you want it, but you got to pay for it.
I would love for you to be a voiceover guy on my podcast called Do Not Talk, where I now talk about the 2 things you're never supposed to talk about.
Which is?
Politics and religion.
Oh, yeah. See, I should be a guest.
Well, you kidding? You are right now. You're going to be on the show. But I would love to have you on, because you and I have actually, I don't know if you remember, but you and I have actually clashed before on Facebook talking about political stuff. Because, we're kind of on opposite sides of the spectrum. Well, you do on your Facebook page. You did, at least.
Very rarely, yeah.
Very rarely.
I try to stay in the middle. You don't know where I'm at.
Yeah. So we don't know where the ocean is. What a guy, Bobby. What a guy, Ocean.
Folks make their own decisions, not listen to me, what I have to say.
Yeah.
I just notice what's going on, and I form my own opinions, but gee, so many people are talking about it anyway. I would just be another mouth noise doing it. We're all smart enough to figure out what's going on now, and who the good guys are, and who the people are who don't care about you.
Right.
And they're in public office. Now we're going to get them out. And now that I'm vice mayor, this is my footstep toward the presidency. So.
You're the vice mayor of Modesto?
I had the mayor on this morning and interviewed her. She made a proclamation making today 610 day.
Isn't that awesome?
And I said to her, I don't want to misuse my place with you, overstep my bounds or anything. Just a little favor to ask. Can I be vice mayor? I said,
how could she say no to you?
I said, my running slogan is none of the work, all the perks. She laughed and she said yes.
Okay, so, you're in.
Yeah.
Today, officially, Bobby Ocean, vice mayor. Is Ocean your real last name? Because that's too cool of a radio name.
No, I was named by Bill Drake, who also named me Johnny Scott, just the station before that.
Everybody, I'm Johnny Scott.
Johnny Scott, discount DJ, I call myself. Johnny Scott. I also fashioned myself after some kind of a detective. And I just have that be part of it somewhere. It didn't dominate it all, but I just played a character. I realized I'm playing a character. That's what we're doing on the air. We're not who we are. Even if you are who you are, you're playing a character called Who I Am.
Yes.
So
I'm one of the few. I've always used my real name, and I've always been, this is how I am on the air, this is how I'm off the air.
So you're playing the real you.
I'm playing the real me. I'm playing the role of me.
And the real me creeps through anything. You know, there's Bobby Ocean. The real me creeps through that. You know, it creeps through the cracks and the crevices, my humor, my take on things. It's going to come out in me anyway. I'm a cartoonist. And once I learned that you could copy, say, Walt Disney or another cartoonist, and it won't be their cartoon, it'll be yours. It'll be you doing another style, maybe a Disney style or something, but it's your thing. And that's the same thing with us imitating other disc jockeys and so on. It comes out you, and it becomes you if you find it.
I gotta be honest with you though, Bobby. I copied you. I tried to sound like you.
I copied the others.
Did you?
I copied the others.
I mean, you were so integral in the shape of my sound and who I am now.
Well, I'm glad to have pitched in.
Well, you're one of my heroes.
That means that the composite that I am, you're a piece of those people too. So you didn't know that you're a piece of Owen Spann and McKinnon. All these great radio names from the past. I would listen to them and memorize what they did and learn their timing and understand their timing. So I could do my own thing, not copy them, but take the style and make it my own. And really, it's storytelling. People, they came to hear the music, not me. But if I have 7 seconds, I can enhance the music somehow. You know, you can say the Rolling Stones, or you can put a little color on it, like the Bad Boys of rock and roll. That changes things just a little bit, makes it kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And so I would do that. I figured the people had already come into my pizza parlor. They already ordered their pizza, so I'm just going to congratulate them on what they chose. The record's my favorite too. I never would say, I don't like this record. Even if I didn't like it, I would like that.
Right. Yeah, I learned that from Rick Dees out of Kiss FM. I mean, every song, that's the best. I love that song so much. No matter how he actually felt about it.
Yeah.
It's true. Because if you do anything less, it's like you're insulting the listener who does like that song.
My story about that is, if you walk into a pizza parlor and say, okay, I'd like a pepperoni pizza, please. There's 2 responses. One guy would say, pepperoni pizza, do you know what that does to your system? You're taking a real chance it's coming right up.
That's your worst choice ever. What's wrong with you?
The other guy says, that's my favorite too. It's coming right up. Well, which guy do you want to go to? Yeah.
Exactly.
So, it's not up to me to criticize people's choices in music. There's some things I'll avoid because I don't like that kind of music.
Right now, what music do you like better?
I've been typecast as a 70s disc jockey, and the truth is I love 70s music. 70s is not 70s, it's 70s, 60s, and 50s. And then for me, I speak into the 80s and 90s, pick what I want. If I like Blondie, they're coming in playlists too. And I like music that I like, and I don't like stuff that's too pretentious. But
let me ask you this. I don't know if you've ever done this or if anyone's ever asked you. What was the one question in all those years of Top 40 radio? What was the one song that you really did hate?
Oh, just the ones that I played too much of. Like we had a time at, I think, Tasty BQ where we played the popular song almost every 50 minutes. So I got pretty sick and tired of that Carole King song, whatever it was. I don't play it anymore.
Bobby Ocean, I love him. Where do we find you?
I exist in pure imagination.
You don't have a website or anything like that?
No. Okay. I show up on Facebook. People thought I canceled my account. But no, I live here in Central California now. And nobody knows
it's 105 today, by the way. That's why we both have a glow right now.
Yeah. My neighbor across the street just found out that I'm Bobby Ocean. And he's just, He thought I was just another Joe. Which I am.
You are.
I'm not being Bobby Ocean these days.
You are.
But so what I do all day long, because I've retired, you have to do something or you go crazy. And I knew that. So I got a couple of guitars. I'm going to teach myself those. That will take me the rest of my life. And I got a pool table. and I'm learning to play better pool, and that'll take me the rest of my life.
Now, if you could just combine the two, knock the 8-ball in the side pocket with the guitar.
Well, it's down there next to the pool table, so yeah, that could happen. I really enjoy pool. I was always holding a stick while the other guys ran the table on me, and nobody would teach me anything. So I decided I really like the idea of it, but I don't know what I'm doing.
It's fun, huh?
So I got a couple of books on the table, and I read and realized after I understood a couple of the principles that I see now that I owe this table about 2,500 hours of practice. And so I'm in the middle of that. I'm not even in the middle of it yet, but I'm seeing improvement. Now I'm so improved that I can tell when I'm doing something wrong. I don't do it right, and I go, okay, the ball did not go where I wanted it to, but I know what I did wrong. That's a big change because now I can hit it right. You have to concentrate like everything else. Keep your eye on the ball.
This is one of my absolute heroes here in the business, in the radio business. So many years on 610 KFRC, and here at the mobile Sturgeon. Right now, they're broadcasting live on bossbossradio.com and that's 70schannel.com. And I just love that they put this together, and I really love that you're here.
This is the first time they've simulcast, or one of the rare times. They don't usually simulcast those two online stations. And the mayor just welcomed us with open arms and put us right in the middle of their
beautiful museum.
Their personal, it's their car cruising and having fantastic cars. That's been a part of Modesto forever. That's what American Graffiti was all about.
Right.
They would have filmed it in this town if the mayor then would have allowed them to. They ended up, as you know, filming in Petaluma. They tried San Rafael too. No. Petaluma, yes. And you've seen the movie, it's great.
Why would Modesto say no to that? That's just stupid. George Lucas is actually from Modesto. Why would they do that?
Maybe because he was from Modesto.
Maybe. He had a bad rep. Who knows?
Well, you know how it is. You can never be a hero in your own hometown. You have to go away and do something and then come back with your trophies. I got to do that with my parents. My mom, when I told her I was going to be a disc jockey as a youngster, she goes, "Oh, son, go for something you can be successful at." She didn't know a thing about show business. My son of my family. It's nothing. But I knew, I can do this. Later on in life, I got back into her town.
You had tremendous success in the business. I don't want to ask you what kind of money you were making, but at one point, I was a 6-figure income morning show guy in the Bay Area, and I worked it for a long time. Had a great career, but I'll never forget my dad giving me that same kind of, "Son, I think you should go back to college and learn how to do something different."
Yeah, what are you going to do with your life?
Exactly. He said, "I don't think there's a lot of future in radio."
Yeah, all of a sudden it's over. Now I'm retired. I've been out of it for 10, 12 years or something, and bam, now they're bringing the radio to me. It's a mobile studio. If they park it in this town, that would be fantastic.
Wouldn't it?
And that's a possibility.
Awesome.
And now that I'm vice mayor,
you can proclaim it, but today only, though.
I got to work some kind of where I got to
work on it. The Bobby Ocean magic. If anyone can do it, he can do it. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
God bless you and keep you. I just love you more than you know.
Oh, thank you. I'm awkward about that kind of stuff, but if I could be a part of helping in any way, I'm glad to. And if I can be a part of making people happy, I'm going to do it just like you. Amen. So we're both in the same game.
Amen.
Storytellers like to see people smile.
Amen. I'm CharLee Simons. Do not talk. We'll continue in just a bit.
This is one of the stations, one of the companies, big companies that I've gotten to work for in my career. ABC is one of them. ABC Network, Radio and Television, CBS, Clear Channel, which at the time was the largest radio station owning company in the world. And it's now called iHeartRadio. This one, Salem Media Group. I enjoyed working with Salem. This is a Christian broadcasting company. Almost all of their content on all their stations across the country, Christian oriented, which is where I wound up in my life. I was one of those guys living like a rock star, making more money I'd ever made my entire life, getting all kinds of attention. Drugs, booze, rock and roll. That's what it was. That was my life. Then I found the Lord, or he found me. And it's not one of those I hit rock bottom stories. In fact, it's quite the opposite, which is why I don't share my testimony much, because I'm afraid that somebody's going to go, well, that means I'm going to lose everything because I become a Christian. Forget about it. I don't want to be that person who would discourage someone, but that was my story. I was on top of the world. Morning drive, San Francisco Bay Area, 6-figure income, making so much money. And all my buddies were making a lot of money too. And a 3-day weekend came up. Let's go to Mexico. Let's go deep sea fishing. Let's party up. Who's bringing the drugs? Who's, get the booze when we're down there? That was the life. And then when the Lord found me, I was on top of the world. I had everything, pictures up on billboards all over the Bay Area. Featured on a TV show down there. I had everything that the world says is important. When I found the Lord, I lost that job because I got saved. Literally, because I became a Christian. They said I broke my contract because I wasn't given the show that they had hired me to do. And they were right. I wasn't, and I wasn't going to. I was forever changed. What would have been different if I would have said, okay, well, I'm a Christian now on the air, like I did, explain the whole thing, told the whole story about how it happened. And then I go right back to, the same dirty, filthy show that I was doing, Howard Stern kind of crap. What would have changed? Nothing. It would have been all words. No action. Words are easy. Action's not so much. And 2 weeks into my conversion, they fired me. I lost this smoking job, and everything proceeded to just fall apart from that point. I wound up living in my truck, which I think I was paid for, and what clothes I could fit in there. What I had. If I didn't have a friend or I could couch hop, I was sleeping in my vehicle. So don't talk to me about being a homeless. I know it. I lived it. And I started volunteering at City Team Ministries, which is a Christian ministry in the Bay Area. They run the gospel missions in San Jose and San Francisco. They have a family outreach. They supply food and furniture for those who are living in poverty, don't have anything. They never charge for any of it. And I'm working with strong believers, people who would talk about Jesus to anybody, anytime, anywhere, much to my complete embarrassment. The supervisor, when I was volunteering at City Team Ministries for selfish reasons, I got fed twice a day. Seriously, I'm getting fed twice a day. I was still making money from unemployment, so I had money to keep fuel in my truck. But I lost my apartment. I lost everything. And City Team Ministries rescued me. The Lord rescued me, put me with them, because I had to be humbled. I was an arrogant ass. I fully was. So I want to thank all those people who had such an influential power, actually, over my life when I was younger, and put me on the path that I'm on now in the media, radio and television. And I've loved every single second of it, even the worst parts of it. I've enjoyed it so much. And I want to thank those men and women who really blazed that trail for me. I owe you so much, and I thank you so much. And I know it was fun for you, and you were getting paid to do it. I know. But I still want to thank you for sharing what you did, because you could have done anything. But you didn't. You decided to do that. You said KFRC live on 610 AM when it was in its heyday. That's significant. At least to a little kid like me from Bakersfield. Here comes the very end of the KFRC documentary. In 5, 4, 3. Hey, by the way, I'm glad you haven't left yet. Glad you didn't turn everything off. Because I actually gave some wrong information. I said that Dr. Don Rose, the morning guy for all those years on 610 KFRC in San Francisco, is the one who named the mobile studio the Sturgeon. Not true. I heard from Chris Sharp, who he and Wild Bill Shakespeare are the ones who spearheaded the campaign to bring that mobile studio back to life, back to its former glory, and then some. It's an amazing bit of work that they've done. And according to Chris Sharp, the Sturgeon is famously known and named by Harry Nelson, who's absolutely one of my heroes, and I became friends with all those years later, and we stayed in touch right up until the week that he died. I had just corresponded with him. Sue Hall, also, Harry Nelson, Sue Hall, Broadway Bill Lee. They were at the State Fair and Cal Expo in Sacramento in the mobile studio, which at the time was KFRC Mobile Studio. Well, in the motel room, they were watching a Japanese black and white submarine movie because DJs are silly that way. Harry Nelson yells out, "That's our mobile studio, the Sturgeon, the Sturgeon." Because the submarine featured in the movie was long with lots of windows and named the Sturgeon. So the next day at high noon live at the fair, Harry Nelson does the ID KFRC San Francisco with the best music live from Cal Expo. I'm Harry Nelson from the Sturgeon. Dr. Don Rose didn't know anything about it until 2 days later when he was told the mobile studio is now known as the Sturgeon. All Sturgeon name history is credited to Harry Nelson, Bill Lee, and Sue Hall. Thank you, Chris Sharp, for setting me straight on all of that. That's fantastic. And in the summer of 1981, a year later, the famous Sturgeon sign that I feature in this documentary about KFRC was actually made that night by a vendor craftsman at the fair. Oh, my apologies. It was actually the same year. So that's the one that I show, and I go, oh, look at that. The Sturgeon still hangs in the exact spot it was placed at the fair in 1981. Thank you, Chris Sharp. Thank you, Bill Shakespeare. Thank you for all the work you did to bring that extraordinary bit of radio history back to life. Thank you all so much, and I really appreciate you more than you know. And until Lord willing, tomorrow, I'm Charlie Simons. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. Most importantly, may America bless God. See ya.